Welcome back to the Banganator podcast, brought to you by your host, Esley Banga. Season 2, episode 17, and sadly, it's a dark day for Cowboys fans. Cowboys lost, got blown out, completely destroyed by the Packers, 48-32. And y'all have no idea how pissed off I am. I'm at a loss for words. But anyways, I got a guest with me today, Aaron Pridemore, the host of the Slide podcast show, where he talks everything baseball, but he's also a Dolphins fan. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. I got to ask, how'd you become a Dolphins fan?
Man, it was probably back in 1989, 90. Just turned on the football, turned on the TV, and the Dolphins were playing the Browns. And I watched Marino just slice up the Browns.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I kind of like this. This was fun.
Yeah,
Most of the football that I had ever seen was just pounding the ball, and Marino was just letting it fly.
Yeah.
And so that kind of got me hooked there. I liked it.
Awesome. And that was a good era to start following the Dolphins. Dan Marino, he's that guy. Yeah. And unfortunately, you're sharing the same woes as me. Your Dolphins lost to the Chiefs. So we're going to get into both of our teams losing. Oh, my gosh. I know you got a lot to say. But before we get into that game, we talking Cowboys versus Packers. Like I mentioned, we lost 48-32. It was over in the first quarter. Packers were up 21-0 quick, and then 27-7 at halftime. The Cowboys couldn't do anything, despite playing well and being 16-0 at home, and then they're facing the 7th seed as the 2 seed. So obviously the Cowboys were heavy favorites. And, you know, me being loud and brash on social media, I got a lot of smoke. Deservedly so. Us Cowboys fans, we deserve it. The Cowboys deserve all the smoke. But before I get into these stats, what did you think of the game overall?
It was rough, man. I expected Dallas to kind of rebound, from towards the end of the season and really like start the playoffs off on the right foot.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like they didn't get started. I thought Parsons was going to run all over them in the backfield. I don't know. It was rough, man. Yeah. Dak didn't look comfortable. And Jordan Love, this kid is, he started off the season, had a lot of bumps at the beginning of the year, and dude, he lit it up.
Yep.
He shot. I think he shocked the world.
He did
on this one.
He did. He proved everybody wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that Jordan Love is better than I thought, and the Packers defense is better than I thought, led by Jair Alexander. I did not think that they would do that to us Cowboys. Even if we lose in that fashion, offense was looking lackluster. Dak Prescott went 41-60, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The 403 yards, a lot of that is garbage time yards in the fourth quarter. And then the 2 interceptions that he threw early, one pick whenever he was trying to throw to Brandon Cooks, and then the pick 6. Just horrible. It's like he reverted back to the 2022 version of Dak Prescott.
If you look at the stats, he threw the ball 60 times.
Yeah.
And you guys have a running game. And like anytime you see a quarterback throwing the ball for that many times, even pressing the 50 attempts, like you start to realize something wasn't working right in the game, specifically the run game. Yeah. And that, I think Dallas has to have that balance.
Yep. Yeah, they're predicated on that balance, because that's the prime example of whenever the run game isn't there, it's not complimentary football, and then they can't do any. Now all the pressure's on Dak, and then he's struggling because now the Green Bay Packers, they're expecting the pass since they're down, and it's a losing battle after that.
Pollard, 15 rushes for 56 yards.
Yeah.
And Dak was, the second leading rusher at 45 yards. Like that's right. I didn't watch the entire
Hmm.
game, but
Hmm.
how quickly did they abandon the run and start just lighting everything up in the air?
Pretty much
Was it
whenever it was 21-0, and that was like at the end of the first quarter.
so it started sinking early?
Yeah, the Packers won the toss. They elected to
Hmm.
receive. They went down, scored. Dak Prescott threw that pick. Good field position. Packers scored again, 14-0. So you were already behind the eight
Yeah.
ball.
Yep.
And
In the
then
hole.
yes, so that's really where it started. They started feeling the pressure. They had to punt. They go down and score again. So yeah, that's where it went downhill. CeeDee Lamb had 110 yards, most of that garbage time yards. Michael
Yeah.
Gallup, 103 yards, garbage time yards.
I always look at like targets. So if you
Hmm.
look at CD Lamb, he
Yeah.
had 17 targets and he caught
Hmm.
9 passes. So
Hmm.
that tells me that Dak was pressing. Like Dak was
True.
trying to get CD the ball a
Hmm.
lot
Yeah.
and with great coverage. I would assume double coverage.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. And then really the only consistent pass catcher was Jake Ferguson, 93 yards, 3 touchdowns. All throughout the game, he was doing his thing. I don't even have anything defensive-wise, any defensive stats to write down because nobody did anything. No sacks, no interceptions, no turnovers. They let Aaron Jones run all over. I forgot how many yards he had, but it was 100 something.
Yeah, 118.
Yeah.
118.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns.
Oh my gosh. They only punted because I watched the whole game through. They only punted like 1 or 2 times, the Packers.
Wow.
So they just did whatever they wanted. I thought going into this game, I was so confident because I thought that the Packers, since they don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, they don't have 12, the guy that I call the Cowboys' second owner, they didn't have him no more. So I thought that, okay, we would have been fine. Jordan Love was looking like the black Aaron Rodgers. You might as well have just put number 12 on him because the throws that he was making, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, there's just something about sitting on the bench for a few years in Green Bay and what that does for quarterbacks. I
Yep.
mean, he shows up this season. Really, we haven't seen much out of him.
Yeah.
And he starts. I mean, like, he finished his first playoff game with a perfect passer rating. I
Yeah.
mean, that's pretty crazy right there.
Yeah. And to all Packers fans out there, again, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Jordan Love, he's like that. Packers defense, y'all like that for real. Good luck against the 49ers, though.
I saw an interview today with the 49ers coach, and they were asking him, when did he start preparing for Green Bay? And he was like, beginning of the third quarter. That's when they started really preparing for Green Bay. Okay. So
good.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. Especially with the history behind those two teams as of late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But just some takeaways from this game. The Cowboys just suck in the playoffs. No matter what. It doesn't matter if it's the first round. Doesn't matter if it's the divisional round. It doesn't matter if you're barely getting into the playoffs. It doesn't matter if you're the 1 seed, the 2 seed. For whatever reason, the Cowboys get into the playoffs. They just suck. And now this raises so many questions now, just the fashion that they lost. Do you fire Mike McCarthy? Do you fire Dan Quinn because of how egregious the defense was looking? I mean, you had guys wide open for the Packers. Do you go get Bill Belichick, who's now available? Do you get Jim Harbaugh, who's interviewing with the Chargers right now?
Yep.
So these are all questions that we got to ask.
What do you feel like? What do you feel like's the answer? Do you think Dak's the guy for the long term?
I do. It's kind of like Jalen Hurts because he's so good during the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, why are you falling apart in the playoffs?
Right.
And I just don't see another quarterback that we could get that will be better than Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott was in MVP conversations. He's an all-pro, second-team all-pro this year. I just don't see another guy who you can get who's better than Dak Prescott to even get you to win 12 games. But clearly, it's a coaching issue whenever it comes to the playoffs. I don't know how they got out-coached and outplayed like that, but yeah, it's sad, pathetic.
I feel you. I went through my same painful experience as well. So.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Dolphins versus Chiefs. The Dolphins lost 26-7. It was a close game in the first half, but then the Chiefs pulled away while the Dolphins couldn't do anything on offense. Only one touchdown. Tua Tagovailoa, 20 of 39, barely above 50%, 199 yards, one touchdown, one interception in the frigid cold. Raheem Mostert and Devon A-Chain only combined for 42 yards. And Tyreek Hill had 62 yards, one touchdown, the only touchdown. So overall, what do you think of that game?
Man, all season long we kept hearing as Dolphin fans can't beat the good teams. Mm-hmm. And that just became annoying because we played a close game with Kansas City earlier in the year. We let that one slip away. The Bills game that we played earlier in the year was just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But as the season continued on and we started seeing like Tyreek is continuing to build, Tua, I mean, his accuracy is incredible. Mm-hmm. But when we hit those good teams, like it's almost like you can see Tua is uncomfortable in the pocket. Mm-hmm. Even how he walks up to the line, you can see when he's got a little swag to him and he's sort of in rhythm.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw this past weekend, man. He just, there was maybe one drive there where he was on point, but man, he was missing easy passes.
Yeah.
Tyreek, I haven't watched any tape, but obviously, I mean, he wasn't getting open, and it concerns me because like anytime a defense is playing, two safeties high, they seem to have a hard time with their timing patterns, and everything the offense does is about timing. Yeah. And it's usually when Tua takes the snap, he hits his back foot and he's releasing. Well, as soon as you take away that first look, then it becomes obvious that like Tua just don't have that playmaking ability. Yeah. And, escaping the pocket, making that throw downfield. And man, I'm going to tell you, I remember when he got drafted, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man, I hope Tua's the answer.
Yeah.
I hope he's the answer. Yeah. But, Mike McDaniels, he's a great coach. He got out coached. I don't know. It was painful to watch. It was painful to watch Mahomes. I mean, the Chiefs let us stay in the game.
They did.
I mean, they had Kelsey dropping passes. The offense wasn't clicking for the Chiefs necessarily on every drive. I mean, they got field goals, I think, on 4 possessions. So, I mean, it was there for us to take. And you just, you go back and watch that Denver game where we put up 70 points.
70. Oh, right? My gosh.
And then you compare it to a game like this, and it's like tell of 2 seasons in one. Yeah. I mean, it was embarrassing, man. Yeah. I got 2 sons, and we're all Dolphin fans, and it's painful. And on top of, we were missing like 7 defensive starters on top of that. So,
that's right. That's right.
Like,
yeah,
they even held everything together pretty well for the offense just to be able to put some points on the board, and the offense couldn't do it.
And I kind of compare the Dolphins to the Cowboys, just different reasons. For us, it was we were looking like 2 different teams, home and away. That was our issue.
Yeah.
Like on the road, we couldn't play well. With the Dolphins, it was couldn't beat a good team, which is why I was kind of not surprised, but it was interesting to see the game versus the Cowboys versus Dolphins because, it's either Cowboys are going to lose on the road or Dolphins are going to lose to a good team, the Cowboys. Yep. So that was an interesting game, came down to the wire, and obviously y'all won. So I thought that the Dolphins were back on track, but the rest of the month of December, they just couldn't get it going.
Fell apart. Yeah, the wheels came off.
Yeah, they fumbled away the division lead, and in the last regular season game, lost to the Bills, and that was the difference between playing a playoff game at home in the wild card and then playing away in the frigid cold. Yeah. And I think that the loss was exacerbated by the cold. Negative 30 wind chill. -0 degrees. I feel like part of Tua's demeanor, like him feeling uncomfortable, like you said. A lot of that was the cold too. You could just tell he did not want to be out there, like most of the players on the Dolphins. Yeah, it's a shame. They had Taylor Swift swag surfing in the third quarter.
I know. I saw that. I saw that. I go back to the game that we lost against the Titans. I feel like that's when, I just felt there was just something so bad about that loss that we had. I think it was a Monday night game, probably week 14 or 15, I believe it was, where we had a two possession lead. And within the last 3 minutes, we lost that lead and lost the game. And like at that point, man, that just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And, if we had won that game and then won against the Cowboys, we would have clinched the East and the Bills wouldn't have had a chance. Yeah. And so we left the door open for them and they shut it on us pretty quickly.
Yeah. Just like you said, I love Tua coming out of Alabama. Like, I don't love or hate Alabama, but I would just always, looking at SEC games, I would always see Tua. And, after he blew up, he was just such a great talent. Obviously, he got injured, then came to the NFL. And then there was always a question of, okay, is Tua the guy? Is Tua the guy? And then he did prove that he was the guy, but okay, can he stay injury-free after those nasty concussions? And then this year, he proved to everybody, yeah, he's the guy. But it just sucks whenever you see games where it looks like he can't throw far. He loses accuracy the further he throws. Just against good teams, not playing good. So it's tough. It's tough. I feel your pain.
It is. I mean, we're both of us now are looking towards the off season and what can be done now.
Yeah.
And I used to be that person, and we actually talked about this on our show the other night, but I used to be that person. I'd get so upset. And now my sons are doing that a little bit. But I keep trying to tell them, like, it's harder for the players. The players are the ones that actually should be upset. They're the ones feeling it. It's just entertainment for us.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's hard, man. It's hard to watch. And the thing about Tua is he's such a humble dude.
Yeah.
And he carries himself in a very respectful way. He just seems like an all around great guy.
Man of God too.
As
a Christian. So that's you love to see it.
That's the kind of person that you want to see succeed. And man, it just breaks my heart every time. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm getting to my age to where I'm like, man, I want to see this dude. Like, I want to see him successful. But at the end of the day, like, I've been a Dolphins fan for way too long. I just want a quarterback in there that can take control and lead us somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you. Just a couple questions during a wild card round. Who do you think had the better playoff debut? C.J. Stroud for the Texans or Jordan Love for the Packers?
Man, I gotta go with C.J. Stroud, man. Like, I am so impressed with this dude. Again, very much similar to Tua, man of God, humble, an amazing teammate, team leader. And he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
And like, even during the season, like when Stroud took snaps, they generally won those games convincingly in most cases. And so, like, to see him come back and, ready for the playoffs, man, I just really believe, man, they're going to be the hard team to beat. I'm kind of pulling for those guys from the AFC East now. Like, I think if it wasn't DeMarco what is it? What's the coach's name?
D'Amico Ryans.
He's a great coach. He's a rookie coach, man. It's just a great story.
Yeah,
and
true.
You want to see those good things happen. I mean, they lost their star receiver probably midway through the season, and they're still battling. And Stroud and he's got an arm.
Yep.
He's got a cannon.
Yep, he do. I would say I would take Jordan Love actually. Obviously I don't enjoy picking Jordan Love beating my team, but I got to stay objective. Their stats were actually almost exactly the same. C.J. Stroud, 274 yards, 76% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love, 272 yards, 76% completion, 3 touchdowns. So pretty much the same. But even though Stroud threw for 2 more yards, I'm going to have to go with Jordan Love because just the fashion in which he went in with confidence. It's like, I ain't got nothing to lose. We the 7th seed. I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to throw, whether they're wide open or whether fitting through tight windows. I'm going to throw it all over y'all. And then I'm going to look like the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. So that was really impressive to me. Nothing against CJ Stroud. Same as you. Like, I like CJ Stroud as a person, man of God.
Mm-hmm.
He leading his team with his head coach to the playoffs. I did pick against the Texans whenever they played the Browns. That was literally only because the Browns were playing so well in the month of December. I posted all of my picks on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And the past 3 days, Texans fans been coming from my neck, Oh, yeah, I told y'all. Hey, it's upsets. Upsets happen in sports. They happen. We're not trying to hit the jackpot. We're just trying to pick games off of what we're seeing and what we're looking. And usually it tends to be the favorite team.
What's that like in Texas? Is there a big rivalry between the Cowboys and the Texans fans, or
Not
because they're in? No,
not at all. Nah, it's not even. It's like Texas versus Texas A&M. You always know that Texas is going to be big brother no matter what. Lakers to Clippers. So it's they're in our state, but they haven't done anything, since their existence. But I am happy that they're on the come up. Good luck to CJ Stroud going forward.
Yeah.
Bigger disappointment, Cowboys or Eagles?
You know what? Eagles haven't been playing their best ball in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the bigger disappointment's the Cowboys.
Okay.
There was a lot of excitement for the Cowboys really throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the wheels fell off for the Eagles after they were, I think, 9-1. And so that wasn't as big as a shock to see them get beat. But the Cowboys, that was a shock.
Yeah, it was. I got to agree with you. Cowboys losing in that fashion in the wild card round against the Sevens. Yes. So, because of all of that, and our expectations were so high, we got the 2 seed. We're supposed to play at least 2 games, at home. Major disappointment. I was in shock. I'm glad that I wasn't inside the stadium. Shock is the best word to use. Dak Prescott used that word. Jerry Jones did. Mike McCarthy did. Everybody just scratching their head and wondering how could this happen. Like you said, the Eagles, they're down after they went 10-1. Their downfall would happen gradually. So, and then especially after it was announced that A.J. Brown would be out, you're like, the Eagles might actually lose against the Buccaneers. I thought it would be close, but Baker Mayfield took control.
Dude, I can't believe the defense just didn't get after Mayfield. I thought even if Hurts struggles, they can't get the offense going. They can do it well enough to put a few scores on the board. But, man, the Eagles defense just couldn't get to Baker.
Yeah.
And I think I saw them get stopped on the tush push for the first time ever during that game.
They did.
And I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah,
It seemed so dominant throughout the season, and to see them get stopped, that was like the moment right there when that happened. I'm like, the game's over.
That's probably the moment that Jason Kelce said, "Oh, if I can't do the tush push anymore, I gotta retire. I'm out." That's probably major disappointments. Oh yeah, we both have the Cowboys.
This episode of the Banganator podcast was recorded in MZ Studios. MZ Studios is a premier podcast studio located in the Ritchie Group Tower in Dallas, offering full-service audio and video podcast production. Book with MZ Studios today.
It's the wild card edition of the Banganator's top banging moments of the week in the NFL. At number 4, I got Jake Ferguson's hat trick versus the Packers. 93 yards, 3 touchdowns. The whole entire game he was doing his thing. He was the only consistent player for the Dallas Cowboys, especially on offense. At number 3, I got CJ Stroud's performance versus the Browns. Stroud, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, including a 76-yard touchdown pass to Brevin Jordan. The Texans demolished the Browns 45-14, and I'm moving on to the divisional round. At number 2, Give me the Packers blowing out the Cowboys. As a Cowboys fan, I don't enjoy putting them at number 2, but I got to stay objective. Jordan Love, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 118 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs, 151 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. The Packers blew out and demolished the Cowboys 48-32 and are moving on against the 49ers in the divisional round. And at number 1, the Bucs offense versus the Eagles. Baker Mayfield threw for 3 touchdowns. David Moore, you get a touchdown. Trey Palmer, you get a touchdown. Chris Godwin, you get a touchdown. Everybody gets a touchdown. The Bucs won 32-9 in blowout fashion versus the Eagles, and we'll move on to the divisional round as well. Aaron, what you think of my list?
I think you hit it. I think you hit it right on the head, man. I agree with you.
All right.
I mean, if you look at those 3 quarterback stats, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud, and Jordan Love. I mean, they all 3 of those quarterbacks had phenomenal games.
Yeah.
And I think you hit it, man. I'm shocked that Mayfield was able to be successful against them. Of course, shocked about the Cowboys. Look, if it's me, I may have to put the Chiefs just wiping the slate with the Dolphins at 4.
Okay.
Because I think everyone kind of expected it. Unfortunately, as a Dolphins fan, I didn't want to see it, but it wasn't unexpected.
Yeah,
and
true.
It was still very, very painful to watch.
Yes.
So, just to watch the season close with a non-competitive game, it just wasn't fun.
Yeah, I feel, we're sharing the same pen. I feel you. Yeah. So,
Right.
But thank you for your opinion on my list. And this week I got a pretty good list. And now our final segment, the divisional round. It's here. I'm gonna go in chronological order. On Saturday, we got Texans versus Ravens as the first game. Who do you got?
Lamar Jackson has looked amazing this season.
Yep.
I don't know how he's going to be in the playoffs though. So I'm going to take the Texans.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to take the Texans because I think CJ Stroud's not going to be phased.
Okay.
I think Lamar may have a little pressure, on him because he's got to still perform. When things are going well for him, he can't do any wrong. He shows the Madden moves when he's breaking out of the pocket. But when he starts really trying to force the ball, I think that's where things start to break down. And I think Ryans is going to have a defense set up and prepared for him because I've seen him shut down before in the past.
Yeah.
So,
we have seen that. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Texans are going to surprise everyone this weekend. That's what I'm going for.
Okay. Upset alert for Aaron. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Ravens. Just the way that they've been playing, the way that Lamar Jackson ascended into the MVP conversation in the month of December and pretty much took hold of that conversation. It's pretty general consensus that he's gonna win it. I got to take the Ravens, and but no shade to CJ Stroud because he has played well, and I agree with you with how CJ Stroud played. All the pressure now is on Lamar Jackson, especially how Lamar has not played well in his playoff debut, the second go around in the playoffs. So all the pressure's on the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. You have to live up to that pressure, and I believe CJ Stroud will play well. But the Ravens will come out on top and they'll prove why they were the number 1 seed. Packers versus 49ers, the night game on Saturday. Who do you think will win?
49ers showed some roughness throughout the season on a few games, but I feel like that defense is going to be locked in. I think Jordan Love may see the other end of the spectrum on this one. Okay. So that's just I'm going 49ers. Yeah. Brock Purdy, he was in the MVP conversation. The kid's a baller, and it'll be interesting to watch. But I think 49ers defense that's who I'm going with on that one.
Okay, same. I got the 49ers too. I think obviously the Packers surprised all of us in the wild card round, but I think it stops here. The magic stops here. The 49ers, for the most of the season, they prove why they're the number 1 seed. Why? I just think that they're going to flex their muscles. That defense, like you mentioned, their offensive weapons: Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Brock Purdy been playing pretty good. MVP conversation good. So all of that, I think, is going to be too much for the Packers. And I have again, I'm going to pick against the Packers. Obviously, no shade. Now I have respect for Jordan Love and that defense. No shade to them, but I got to pick the 49ers, that 1 seed 49ers. And then on Sunday, we got Buccaneers versus Lions. Who wins?
Lions. Man, look, Campbell has got that team fired up and playing.
Yep.
I mean, it reminds me. All right, so my favorite movie is Remember the Titans.
Hey,
right, and watching Denzel like build that team, and like how Dan Campbell has just pulled Detroit together, like I've never seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And they played rough. They played tough.
Yeah.
And I think Detroit's in it for the long run, man.
Yeah.
I think when them and the 49ers hit, that'll be a battle.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people are looking forward to in the NFC side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also got the Lions, and to be honest, the way that the Lions played against the Rams, I feel like it could go either way, because just how well the Buccaneers played. They put up
32 points.
32 points. There you go.
Baker Mayfield, man, he was running around everywhere, hitting every pass.
He was.
I mean, if they leave him in the pocket and they don't really contain him, he might have another good game.
Yeah.
I think the Lions come out on top of this one, but I thought the Rams were going to take them out. They were close.
Yeah,
they were close.
They were. I actually picked the Rams to win, but that game could have went either way. I already knew that, and I feel the same here with Buccaneers versus Lions. I'm gonna take the Lions, but the Buccaneers have the ability to win this game, so don't be surprised if they do. Chiefs versus Bills, the last game of the divisional round. Who you got?
I'm going Chiefs all the way on this one. Look, I'll sing some Taylor Swift songs. We'll shake it off, whatever. I'm not pulling for Josh Allen and the Bills Mafia, even though there's a lot of great people in the city of Buffalo. I will never. I just can't.
You can't.
I just can't
do it. Can't do it. I mean, it was the same thing as me. Obviously, even though I picked the Eagles to win because I thought they were going to win, I was rooting for the Buccaneers to take them down. So I feel you. Chiefs versus Bills. That's going to be in Buffalo, which will be Patrick Mahomes' first time in a playoff game where they aren't either at home or in a neutral site, the Super Bowl. So that's going to be interesting. How will Patrick Mahomes respond to that? I think he'll respond well. I got to go Bills. And honestly, this can come down either way, too. This is one of those games where probably a close game, and it can go either way just because of the past of these teams. The past 2 times that they played in the playoffs, it always came down to the end of the fourth quarter, last drive. Obviously, we remember Patrick Mahomes, 13 seconds left, bringing it overtime, winning. Just the way that the Chiefs have been looking a little lackluster, dropping balls, not performing as well on offense, and it's probably going to be winter-type weather, most likely snow, stuff like that. Both teams are used to playing in that type of weather, so that'll be no problem.
I think Kansas City's defense has been a shock this season, and that defense has kept them in the playoffs.
That's true.
So it'll be interesting to watch them get after Josh Allen. Because Allen reminds me a lot of early Ben Roethlisberger, and you can't bring the dude down.
True.
And he'll throw it up with anything. So it'll be a fun game to watch, definitely.
Yeah, that's something else I forgot to bring up too. Josh Allen's playmaking, obviously, he can throw it out of the building, and he can make great plays with his legs too. But a lot of the turnovers that he commits, which is habitual, it can be costly in the playoffs. So will he, try to force some things, be aggressive, and then make costly turnovers that cost him the game? So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, but that's going to be a good one. Those are our picks for the divisional round. So thank you for helping me pick these games. Thanks for your input. Thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of the Banganator podcast. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Go follow me on the Banganator podcast Instagram and Banganator pod _4 on the Twitter X. Again, I had Aaron Pridemore with me, host of the Slide podcast show, All Things Baseball. Thank you, Aaron, for coming on and being my guest. Obviously, hella knowledgeable. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. And I might ask to be on one of your podcast episodes to talk Texas Rangers.
Hey, you know what? Look, you can teach me some stuff about some MLB. We focus and talk to a bunch of kids, so we're dedicated to youth baseball. But come talk to us, man. We'd love it.
Awesome. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
The Banganator podcast is brought to you by Esley Banga, diehard fan of the Dallas Cowboys since 1997. How about them Cowboys?